Listen closely. That is the nauseating sound of ice clinking against cheap glass in a room suffocating under bad lighting and worse intentions. It is 7 p.m. on a Thursday at a mandatory corporate mixer, and the air is heavy with the smell of aggressive cologne, desperately trying to mask the pungent scent of quiet, financial desperation. Look around. You see dozens of grown adults, trapped in their suits, stretching their facial muscles into agonizing, unnatural smiles. They laugh too loud at jokes that are not funny. They nod enthusiastically at mundane stories they could not care less about. They frantically hand out rectangular pieces of cardboard as if those little scraps of paper are magical talismans that will ward off their own impending irrelevance. This is the sacred ritual of networking. It is a room full of smiling predators pretending to be friends, each one silently and coldly calculating the exact social net worth of the person standing opposite them, trying to determine who holds enough influence to be parasitized in the future and who can be safely discarded. For decades, you have been force-fed a deeply toxic lie. It is a mantra repeated ad nauseum by career counselors, plastered across LinkedIn feeds, and regurgitated by every self-help guru. The lie is simple. It is not what you know, it is who you know. Society has engineered an entire ecosystem around this parasitic premise. We idolize the relentless extrovert. We worship the charismatic conversationalist. We have built a structure that disproportionately rewards the slick talker over the silent builder, elevating the superficial ability to work a room far above the actual, tangible ability to do the work. You have been conditioned to believe that to achieve true wealth and freedom, you must dive into this transactional circus. You must become a professional sycophant, trading fragments of your dignity for artificial leverage and empty IOUs. But if you possess a highly analytical mind, if you are genuinely intelligent, this charade feels like a physical violation. When forced into these artificial environments, you do not just feel bored, you experience a deep, visceral exhaustion. You watch the performative dance of the corporate climber and feel overwhelming intellectual revulsion. You see straight through the manipulation. You instantly recognize the grim, transactional nature hiding behind every forced compliment and fake handshake. And because your brain refuses to organically participate in this theater of the absurd, the system labels you. They call you aloof. They call you antisocial. They patronizingly tell you that you lack soft skills. They attempt to convince you that your biological aversion to this superficial ecosystem is a crippling flaw, a blind spot that will inevitably cap your potential and leave you isolated. They want you to believe that your reluctance to trade irreplaceable time for empty social calories is a weakness. But what if the exact opposite is true? What if your deep-seated disgust for the networking game is actually your greatest unseen advantage? Level 1. The charisma deficit myth. Why is your physiological inability to tolerate trivial small talk about sports and the weather at corporate events not a social deficit, but rather your most primal, precise, and sophisticated instinct for ultimate financial survival? You walk into the room, and your brain instantly registers the threat. It isn't physical. It's a massive drain on your cognitive bandwidth. Highly intelligent people don't hate connection. They hate manipulation. When forced to stand with middle managers pretending to be fascinated by the golf game, your mind experiences violent cognitive dissonance. You're burning mental fuel just to keep a socially acceptable expression of fake curiosity. Every forced chuckle is a microtransaction. You're paying a social tax out of your energy reserves to navigate an environment designed entirely for the incompetent. The corporate networking ecosystem wasn't built for builders. It was built for parasites. It's a sanctuary for those who cannot rely on their work to speak for itself. The loudest guy in your office isn't producing value. He's producing leverage. He's weaving a safety net of favors because his technical output is profoundly mediocre. He's the rat who figured out that if he grooms the other rats in the cage often enough, nobody will notice he isn't actually running on the wheel. Organized networking's nothing more than sophisticated begging for adults wearing expensive fabrics. You're wandering a room, holding cheap wine, asking strangers for crumbs of opportunity. Treating human interaction as currency is repulsive to an analytical mind. You view the world through efficiency. You want to build systems and tangible assets, but the system punishes silent efficiency. They pull you into the transactional circus, forcing you to perform tricks for people you disrespect. The exhaustion you feel at the end of the night isn't just social fatigue. It's the physical manifestation of compromising your own integrity. You spent hours shrinking your intellect to fit a mold of aggressively average banter. The true danger lies in what that exhaustion does to your ambition the moment you lock your door. Level 2, the transactional circus. The exhaustion is a calculated pacification mechanism. When you're drained, you don't have the energy to build your own empire. You collapse on the couch, order delivery, and watch the people you just left inflate their titles online. They trade endorsements like counterfeit money, hoping that fake currency buys a promotion. This creates a psychological trap. You doubt yourself. You suppress your instincts to fit in. But every time you do, a piece of your autonomy dies. You're trading high-leverage intellect for the low-yield comfort of assimilation. You're playing a game where the only prize is a slightly more comfortable spot inside the maze. But there's a fatal flaw in their design, a mathematical inevitability that the peddlers of charisma can never outrun. The moment you measure networking as a quantifiable theft of your finite time, the illusion shatters. Level 3, the currency of competence. Let's talk about the math of the schmooze. The defenders of this circus will tell you that a single handshake can change your life. They sell you the lottery ticket mentality of human connection, but they never show you the hidden ledger. They never calculate the brutal opportunity cost of every forced interaction. Let's do the math the charisma coaches conveniently ignore. Imagine you dedicate just 3 hours a week to this networking illusion. That's a modest estimate. Between the commuting to the overpriced bar, the 2 glasses of watered-down whiskey you buy to justify occupying space, and the actual time spent listening to a middle manager brag about his leased SUV, you burn 3 hours. That is 156 hours a year. Almost an entire month of standard working hours, completely evaporated. Now let's convert that into the currency of competence. If you took those 156 hours and invested them into acquiring a hard, unforgiving skill, writing complex code, mastering algorithmic trading, or building a scalable digital asset, you wouldn't be handing out business cards. You would be building a fortress. The extrovert spends those hours trying to convince a gatekeeper to open the door. The silent builder spends those same hours acquiring the capital to buy the building. Society loves to repeat that your network is your net worth. It's a lie designed to keep the incompetent employed. People don't hire you because they like the way you talk about golf. They pay you because your undeniable competence solves a very expensive problem. The moment your skills become a hyper-specialized asset, you stop needing to network. The network starts desperately hunting for you. You don't need a golden Rolodex when you hold the keys to the revenue machine. Think about the loudest guy at that mixer. He has a pristine suit and a rehearsed elevator pitch. But if the market crashes tomorrow, his superficial connections won't save him from the chopping block. Leverage isn't built on small talk and shared appetizers. Leverage is built on monopoly. If you're the only person who understands the architecture that keeps the profit margins intact, you could be the most aggressively antisocial human breathing, and they will still pay you whatever premium you demand. The corporate system wants you to believe you must constantly groom the other lab rats to survive. They drop a piece of artificial cheese in the middle of the maze and tell you the only way to get it is to smile at the rat standing next to you. It's a calculated distraction. While you're busy making temporary friends inside the cage, you're ignoring the heavy tools lying in the dark that could dismantle the lock entirely. Every hour you spend trying to be liked is an hour you steal from becoming undeniable. And this is where the analytical mind discovers its ultimate advantage. You don't need to fix your lack of charisma. You need to ruthlessly weaponize it. You need to look at your deep aversion to this social circus and realize it is the exact mechanism that will finally set you free. Level 4. The introvert. Leverage. The moment you stop viewing your social aversion as a defect, your entire reality shifts. You are terrible at networking because you are not a politician. You are a builder, and builders do not waste time convincing people they know how to lay bricks. They just build the damn wall. The system wants you to believe that isolation is dangerous. They tell you that if you don't show up to the Friday happy hour, you will be forgotten. Let them forget you. In fact, being forgotten by mediocre people is the most efficient filter for success ever invented. While they are busy managing their personal brand on social media, treating their personalities like corporate billboards, you are going underground. You are embracing the absolute beauty of the Ghost Protocol. True wealth is never loud. It doesn't wear a designer belt with a massive, obnoxious logo to signal its existence to strangers in a grocery store. True wealth is completely silent. It is the guy in a plain black t-shirt sitting in the back of the coffee shop who just quietly bought the commercial real estate that the guy in the loud suit is currently leasing. This is the undeniable truth about human leverage. The ultimate flex is not a calendar booked solid with coffee meetings and power lunches. The ultimate flex is total, unapologetic unavailability. It is waking up on a Tuesday morning and realizing nobody on earth has the authority to interrupt your focus. You don't need to force a laugh at the VP of marketing's terrible joke, because your income is not tethered to his volatile mood. You have successfully decoupled your financial survival from the fragile egos of middle management. They trade their time for empty favors. You trade your time to acquire absolute leverage. You sit in silence, mastering a high-income skill, buying income-producing assets, and building a massive, invisible moat around your life. You are constructing a mechanism that prints freedom while they are busy printing pieces of cardboard. There is a profound, almost aggressive peace in becoming financially undeniable. When your competence reaches a level of absolute scarcity, the transactional circus loses all its power over you. You become the ghost at the corporate barbecue. You show up, eat a steak, smile politely at the wall, and leave early, knowing your portfolio generated more revenue during that miserable 2-hour event than the host will make in an entire month. The people who built the cage desperately want you to keep running on the wheel. They need you to crave their approval, because the moment you stop caring about their artificial hierarchy, they lose their entire grip on your life. Your mind naturally rejects the superficial because it is biologically hungry for the substantial. Feed it. Starve the social parasites. Let them have their cheap wine and their fabricated status. Level 5. The Ghost Protocol. The true exit from the rat race is not replacing a cheap suit with an expensive one. It is realizing you never needed to play the game in the first place. You don't out-network them. You out-build them. You out-execute them in the dark, where nobody is watching, where there is no applause, and where no favors are ever exchanged. The highly intelligent understand a core mathematical reality. Social capital is a rapidly depreciating asset, highly vulnerable to market shifts, office politics, and corporate restructuring, but undeniable competence, that is completely bulletproof. So the next time you find yourself standing in a room full of suits, feeling that familiar, sickening drain on your energy, don't force the smile. Don't suppress the disgust. Recognize it for exactly what it is. It is your internal compass, screaming at you to leave the circus, go home, and build your empire in absolute silence. Level 6. Total autonomy. If you're still watching this, you understand exactly what I mean. You have felt that exhaustion. You know the exact miserable weight of a fake handshake. They will call you antisocial. Let them. They will call you weird, aloof, and arrogant. Let them. While they are wandering around begging for a temporary seat at a table that doesn't matter, you are quietly busy buying the entire building. If you made it this far, drop a comment saying, "Silent Empire." Everyone else will think you're crazy. They will keep handing out their little paper cards, hoping someone comes to save them. But we'll know you're awake. My name is Daniel Rath, and I'll see you outside the maze.